Well, hello there, traders and investors. I'm LA Little. This is your daily NeoTA wrap. We take a look at these markets, and we're doing it from a neoclassical perspective. That means each time we're asking ourselves what happened today and what might it tell us about the coming ones. I do this show 4 times a week, every Monday through Thursday. It's broadcast every before 10 o'clock Eastern Time. It's archived on YouTube and under the channel LA Little. And if you want to subscribe to the show, just reach up in the right-hand corner and do so. Anytime I get push content, you'll get a notification. I'm going to start out actually some bookkeeping first. We were off last night, of course. I will be out Thursday night, so I'll only get a show in tonight and tomorrow, and then I'll be taking Thursday off. As far as what we do at TA today and what you should be doing is we run a portfolio, and this is the performance last year. Last year had a pretty good year. It was $1 million book, made 82,000, almost 82.5, so basically 8.25% return on the overall portfolio. Got the nice big kick up a couple times during the year and was able to ride that to some pretty big gains. That's a public portfolio that we share at TA Today with members and use it as a teaching tool as well, so you can make some money as you learn. As far as what happened today, nice big spike to the upside. The real strength started out in Europe today. That spilled over to the U.S., and the U.S. started to give it up, but then it actually bounced back towards the end. I'm seeing the DAX down, but that's actually the futures, I guess, because the DAX was actually up today. It was up almost 1%. You can see it here in the Swiss markets. The CAC was up as well. I'm a little befuddled there. I'm pretty sure the DAX was up on the day. Let's see here. Over in the U.S., percent on the NDX, NASDAQ almost the same. The one that trailed today was the Russell, and we're going to talk about that here in a second. All flipped around. It was up, ended up down 2.5%, almost 3%. Gold was the same, was down, flipped around, and ended up. Dollar was up strong and then gave some of it up. It still finished up almost 1% on the day. At the TA Today site, I haven't talked about it much. One of the things that I do on the site, or that we can do on the site, is that we have 3 time frames at all times. When I'm looking at a chart, when you see me doing these charts at night, really just one chart fits on a screen, so you only see one of them. But there's multiple charts. You can pull up the trading cube anytime you want. You can get the MTTFs, which are these numbers underneath that tell you how extended the trend is. A lot of information packed in this thing we call the trading cube, and that gives you a good insight as to what's going on, not just in this stock, but in the general sector it trades in, as well as the general market across all 3 of those time frames. What are their trends? How extended are they? As far as looking at this market, let's pull up the actual S&P 500. And to do that, I'll pop back into my tools, my watch list. I had some earnings up, but let's go to the S&P 500. So indexes, and these are shared indexes. When you remember you get all these shared indexes, makes it easy for you to stay up with what I'm looking at as well. As far as, here's the S&P. So what do we do today? We get a little bounce up in volume, nothing huge, but a decent bounce. We're coming out of that lull period that happens at the end of the year. So when we look at this guy, what we essentially have here is we've got a little bounce up with a decent little volume push, but this doesn't really mean anything, right? It's okay. I mean, it's what you'd want, but the real test is going to be up here. So that's where the information is going to be released on this. What it did do is it traded back into that big bar, and even though it closed into it on Friday with the low volume down here, today was more of a tell as to what's going on. So you kind of get this doji push back up, and it hangs up there. On the weekly, a little fade, a little push, doesn't really mean much. On the monthly, the same sort of thing here on the monthly, another little continuation push to the top side. That's not the one that tells us anything. The one that tells us something really is over on the Russell. Let's go to the Russell next. And so if I pull up the Russell, right, now the Russell lagged all day long. look at the bar that you've got here on the Russell and the way it formed today. And sorry about that. Let's do that again. And hit the right button so that I can actually pull this up. So this bar today, as you came up, right, look at the tail that's on the top of the bar. That doesn't mean that you're going to reverse or anything, but it does seem to suggest, since this has been the lead index, that this thing still wants to do some more work in this area using the swing point low. Now, I say that because, you know, if you look at the mean time to failure of that trend, what you're going to find, and you find this across most of them right now on that short-term time frame, is this thing's 66% probability of failure. That's what that number tells you. There's a 66% probability across all stocks and ETFs and, you know, the indexes, not ETFs, but sectors and indexes. Using that as the big N in the probability curve, 66%, right, is that this thing's going to turn. What does it mean to turn? Well, you got to break a swing point low, and that is this swing point low you see here. And so the idea is that more than likely this thing is still going to come back. It's going to break that, and it's going to do the retest, regenerate off this swing point high. So I suspect somewhere over the next few days, next couple weeks at most probably, you're going to see this break a swing point low. Right now, it's got a good chance to break this one, and the way it traded today suggests that's what it wants to do. So don't get too bullish too fast. You know, let the market tell you what it wants to do. And right now, the suggestion here, at least with the NDX, is that it has some more work to do. If we look at the NASDAQ, if I pull it up across all time frames, so the NASDAQ actually gets back over now. The NASDAQ, this one actually has a setup that's slightly different than what we just saw in the S&P. You got the breakdown bar here and the other one up there. So you go into this one and you're unable to hold it. Again, a subtle sign that this may have some more work to do to the bottom side. And so I think that, you know, what I'm seeing here at least is that more than likely this market's not quite ready to take off yet. There's some more work to do. I want to show you a couple charts. I want to actually pop you into the XLF to start with. And so if I grab that chart, and to do that, we can pop over to a different watch list. And if we pull up the major sectors, and we can grab the XLF and take a look at it. And what I want to show you here is that this particular stock, or this particular sector, I should say, is that it has been quite bullish all the way up, right? So you had, you know, if you just go back to the election or right after the election, right, this thing started up in a vertical move, unsustainable, traded sideways, really didn't give anything up, right? Just kept kind of beating its way to the upside and then eventually took off again. At this point, it's done a sideways move and it's worked off some of this excess. Now, if you look at the angle of ascent, right, you can see it's a little bit more sustainable now. You're getting towards a 45-degree angle. That's usually what you like in terms of something that can continue on. And so the way this is working to me is that it's doing exactly what you want it to do. And the reason I'm bringing this up is because this one really stayed strong all day. They tried to push it down. They pushed it right back up. You don't have much volume in here. You haven't got a break at the swing point low on this one either. You can see that number is very extended at 87.2. And so this really wants to reset. So far, hasn't been able to. That tells you what kind of strength you got when your probability of a trend transition is extremely high, yet they still can't break a swing point low that's really close in terms of price. This sector looks really good, and if we pop in and start looking at some of the stocks on this sector, and we can actually do that really easily, we can just say show all charts, and it's going to pop up the charts. Oh, actually, I'm not in the XLF. Let me get in the XLF first because I was in the major sectors. So if I go to the XLF, so if we pop in here, go to the financials, XLF, once we get in those, if we show all charts, then we'll see the top weighted stocks in this group, and that will give us a better sense of what's happening. So AIG being one of them. A little pullback today, not too bad. And what this does is it pops up this watch list control, and you can just sit here and click through them, and you can see which ones are the strongest. And you can do this within, I mean, I could see all top 10 of them within probably 2 or 3 minutes across all time frames, right? All my time frames are here. I can see every one of them all at once. And so the power of this is, the flexibility of these tools and what they allow you to do and how you can quickly move through stuff. AXP, strong, right? You can see just how strong it is. If I bring that watch list control back up, let me grab it. It's off my screen. And there it is. And just pop through these guys. BAC, not quite as strong, but still not bad. So in other words, I can flip through these in a rather fast manner. And let me pull this off here so it doesn't get closed off. Berkshire Hathaway, yeah, it's all right. I'm looking for the strongest one. So far, AXP. Here's another one, Citigroup, very strong. Goldman Sachs is the next one on the list I'm clicking. Again, very strong. JP Morgan has been. Oh, look at now. Now, JP Morgan actually breaks out, gets over the highs today. Doesn't hold them, but it's got more volume. This is the strongest one I've seen yet. And so if I'm looking for an entry into this sector, I want to find the strongest stocks. And so far, JP Morgan looks to be the strongest one. So if I'm going to buy it, I'm going to look for a little retrace in JP Morgan to establish my position. That's the neoclassical way, right? That's using these tools, the powerful tools where you can bang, bang, bang. You can go find something. You can find it fast. JP Morgan, a stock that you probably should have on your watch list if you don't. Where do I think we're going? I think we got more consolidation to do. Today, I mean, positive market's going to go higher before it's over. So, I don't think I'd play around here, but at the same time, if you're trying to time entries, trying to get some more exposure on, go look at those strong sectors. I picked on the financials because that one's been one of the strongest ones on the way up. And that's the one that's going to give you the more strength when it takes off again, most likely. Have a great one, folks. I'll see you tomorrow night. Take care. And until then, good night.